Okay, Tom, thank you so much for having me. As you know, I'm used to doing these in person at Google yearly and a lot of other conferences with you. This is the first time for me doing it virtually. I look forward, I got to tell you, I really look forward to next year. Let me just introduce myself to everybody else. So I am president and CEO of Rivendell Media. We bill ourselves as the leading experts in LGBTQ media in the United States. We're in our 40th year of business, 41st year actually, and starting in 1979. So we've pretty much seen it all. And today, what I wanted to do is really introduce you to a customer of ours. It's a very typical customer, and I think will really appeal to this audience. It's really wonderful to actually be able to see the progression of a campaign over the years. And since we're still in the beginnings with Discover, I thought it would just be the perfect time to introduce you to what I would call an LGBT champion. And I just want to go. So before I introduce Michael, who you see in the corner, one of the things that took me a long time to learn in business, marketing ourselves as a B2B company to ad agencies. And really that's where I spent the majority of my time to try and make it simple, easy, and profitable for ad agencies to want to utilize and recommend LGBT media. But along the way, we really realized that even if the agency wants to use you and wants to recommend the LGBT market for their clients, it really, all the big campaigns start from a champion at the company. So going all the way back to our first biggest client, Absolute Vodka, Michelle Rue, the marketing champion there, was part of the LGBT community. And the same can be said for any of these campaigns that you see. And so here we have somebody new. Michael, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody here and tell us just a little bit about what your role is at Discover?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Michael OBrien. I work at Discover Financial Services. I am the communications lead within global marketing. I am also the co-chair and marketing chair of Discover's Pride ERG Employee Resource Group.
So going back to the champions, one of the great developments in our business was really when companies started having not just employee resource groups, but starting to have LGBT specific ones. And that really has become a boon to our business. I wish I knew it 10 years sooner because I could have really helped a lot of these champions a lot further. But it's just something that we learned in business. It's a business learn for us. So what you're seeing in your screen right now is when Discover started with us. These were their first two ads that they placed. I think it was right at the end of 2017, but really going into 2018. And Michael, could you just tell us a little bit about what made you pick up the phone and call us, and what made you get interested in wanting to be move Discover forward in this direction?
Yeah, well, prior to 2017, we were marketing specifically in Chicago's Windy City Times. But I was given more money to market, and I really wanted to market in other cities, this Pride card, our Discover Pride card. And with that, I reached out to my contact at Windy City Times, letting her know that I wanted to branch out into other cities. And she suggested that I work with Todd over at Rivendell, and that's how things took off from there.
And just so the audience knows, we're a little bit about it. Since we're a B2B business, most companies, most consumers, LGBT consumers would never have heard of us. So you would only really know about us if you happen to be looking in the masthead of a gay publication or worked at an ad agency. But to make it simple for you all, we're just glorified ad reps. So it would be as if we sold ads in Time Magazine and you wanted to place an ad in Time Magazine, you would call their advertising department. It's the same with LGBT media. The difference being most LGBT media is local, so it's a lot of publications across the country that you would be doing, and we would be the direct contact to them. And you could reach us either through the publication itself and you wouldn't even know you're calling us, or you could reach us directly like Michael did. Michael, here's some of the newer creative that we're seeing here. The Shop with Pride campaign, and I just wanted to ask you. So, what did you do? So, you decided you wanted to market. Did you go to your ad agency to get these ads created?
Well, initially I went to our brand department over here in Riverwoods, Illinois, and what they let me do, being a gay employee and also being within a marketing department, they were letting me run the campaign itself, having a little authentic piece to the campaign, something that I was really happy to own for the LGBTQ employees and just Discover as a whole. So I was really excited they let me do that.
So basically, you did it with your internal department.
Yes, correct. I am not a graphic designer in any way, shape, or form. So I initially did work with an outside agency, but then I did bring it in-house to our own creative department. And they went online, searched for images, concepts that we could use legally, and then they would present them to me, and I would kind of, pick or choose. Some of the images they showed me were two females, but they weren't necessarily lesbians. So it was good to have a gay eye looking at these images to keep the campaign honest.
No, it's great. One of the hindrances we found in the past is sometimes the cost of the creative can be so expensive and be a budget buster. What I love about your campaigns is I really they hit the mark, they fit the publication, and I'm taking it they weren't a budget buster.
No, they definitely were not. And to be honest, another thing that I appreciated about some of the ads that you were showing is the diversity within it. I was really happy that we picked, gay, lesbian, older, younger, interracial couples. That's something that I really wanted to convey to the LGBT community about the Discover brand. But no, in the end, honestly, it wasn't a high cost for the image. I can't really tell you for sure, but no, it wasn't. You don't need $1 million to market.
Well, that's what I wanted to really bring out, because so many people come to us and they feel like they need $1 million. And we try and explain to them that most gay media is very inexpensive to begin with. But the cost of creative can be daunting. So I just love the fact that you came up with such great creative that fits the publications themselves and didn't break your budget, so that you were actually able to market out there. We've had plenty of campaigns over the years where they spent so much on the creative that there wasn't enough to really carry that message forward.
Yeah, and that did happen to me, Todd. That's why I did bring it inside. Okay. I highly recommend anybody listening, watching this, if you do have an internal creative agency, I would stick with them, because then even though you don't need $1 million to market in these publications that Todd shows to you that you can market in, you can market more with the money that you're given in these publications with more frequency if you have a design team in-house.
Absolutely. We agree with that. And we always find it's with an LGBT champion, it brings your eye to everything. So they're really overseeing it. We've learned here not to criticize people's creative if it's at an ad agency, because that's what they're being paid for. When it's internally, like with you, I don't have any problem. If I were to see something, I know you would be able to deal with it and want to deal with it directly. That's just like sort of an inside scoop in the business here. Did you have any problems with any of these ads? Like, I'm just curious, did anything come to your attention that you had to be aware of? I think you told me a story about one of the women creatives.
Not really. I mean, like, there was an ad of an image that I picked, and I don't think I'm an expert now, but I'm a lot smarter now than I was maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I started this. But I mean, so I was given concepts, and I saw these two this image of these two women shopping. So I'm like, okay, perfect. Lesbians shop with pride, tie a bow on it, good, done. And it got posted on social media, and I follow all these publications, and I look and I noticed like that particular ad was not getting any likes, was not getting any comments. I mean, there was no negativity, but compared to the other ads that we were doing, we were getting so many likes and so many comments. And I didn't understand why this particular ad with these two lesbians nothing was happening. So I kind of printed it, I did print it. I stared at it for quite a while, and I'm like, why didn't this work? And I'm staring and staring, and it finally dawned on me, these aren't lesbians. These are probably two sisters. You know what I mean? Like we know each other. We know our community. And I really just realized that those two were not lesbians. So I realized why the ad didn't perform well. And, I had to, start looking at it through my own lens, my gay lens.
It's funny because it's like when you do look at something so much, it's sometimes something very obvious can really miss it. And I just love that story because we've experienced that over the years too. Tell us a little bit about how you were able, so you started out extremely modest. Discover asked us not to mention any cost factors, but it's definitely a modest campaign to start, but it doubled the next year, and we were on track this year to double again, abet COVID, of course. How did that come about? Was it easy to get them to increase the next year? I'm just curious.
I really wouldn't say it was easy. It's not like they put up a fight, but they wanted to see the value in it. And by marketing it for year after year. And I mean, as you can see, we have a pride card. And when we were showing all the cards that were being ordered by people who had an existing card and they switched to the pride card, and then even through acquisition of people not having a Discover card and then seeing people order it, or request it, they really saw, the value in it, what a loyal community that we are. And that was one of the reasons why I pushed for it so much, going, the LGBT community is very loyal, and I want Discover to be the credit card of the LGBT community. I worked here for 16 years. I'm a proud gay employee, and Discover has shown nothing but support for me. And I just really wanted to showcase what a great company it is and how proud I am to work for it. So I just, the previous campaigns that I did, I just, showed them the numbers, I showed them the likes, and they were like, it's working out great. Let's give you a little bit more money.
Great. It's exactly what we want to hear. And, in all our history, we've never really had any pushback or anything. We've had an ad here or there that didn't perform well, like you said, but overall in the big picture, it's always really been that same way. I think the challenge that I see is there's less and less of it, but I was just curious if you had any stigma internally, but you already answered that question. You're out and you're proud and you're moving it forward. And plus being with having the Pride ERG behind it, I think that probably really carries some weight too.
Yes.
No, it's great. It's great. So to the audience, I want to say that you should really not worry about the budget. You should see what you can do at your company. Or if you're not even at that stage yet, there's companies like mine and also the Tom's, which is CMI, which is really the research expert. All of our information is really free for people to use to move things forward. And now that we have really identified that most campaigns come from champions, we're doing more of conferences like Out and Equal, where those champions actually are showing up and are there, or conferences like this. But I want people to know you don't even have to have a campaign in mind. But if you need information such as alcohol statistics if you're working for a spirits company, or credit card statistics if you're at Discover, they're available, and they're mostly available for free. And there's even a lot of tools that we have now. I know the National LGBT Media Association has tools specifically for LGBT champions at their companies. And that is a way to really just move things forward. What I always say in our business, and Mike, will be interesting if you agree, it's never really been about equality to me in that business moving forward, but it's been about dollars and cents. And it's been about, okay, we've gotten our feet wet. Has it performed? And once they see those likes and see that goodwill going forward, I've never really seen anyone stop. The biggest challenge we see overall is when the champion leaves. Oftentimes that's when it stops, because it does need that energy and that person on the company side to keep moving it forward. Because face it, Michael, right? You care the most, right? I know when you see ads and I remember that woman creative you calling going, how come there's no likes? We should be having likes on that. And of course, I don't know. So I'm like, well, let me ask my staff and see if there's a reason. But it was kind of funny to find that story. Is there anything else, anything you would want to say? Remember, the audience that we're talking to today are people like you. They've either are interested in LGBT marketing or they're a future champion. And do you have any words of wisdom for them or things that they might encounter?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I suggest you find your company's pain points, or find out your company's or your department's goals to see how this kind of campaign might be able to help your company or your brand with some of those pain points. Because it's not just about, marketing to the LGBT community as a whole. It's not just about that, but it's also helping your company, like doing good with your job and what you want to do. And just do a lot of research, and present that to management if that's something that you need to do. But, one thing I really do want to end with, and it's a quote from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, is to fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful and very fitting for today.
Yeah.
So everybody, I want to thank you for having us. Michael, thank you for taking the time today and letting some other people get an inside scoop of what it might be like. I mean, we're all here at COVID. I'm in a giant office all by myself. I know you're at home, and I just know it takes a lot to do all this, and it takes a lot of energy to put it forward in the positive way that I've seen it at Discover. So I appreciate your time. Thank you. And I look forward to doing this in person next year, Tom.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And let me just get this to stop.